Shaahin Cheyene, one of the world's top Amazon consultant, award-winning business mogul, author, and filmmaker based in Los Angeles, California. Hello, Cheyenne.
Hi, nice to be on. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. I know my audience are really excited to hear your story, but just start by telling us one thing we are going to learn from you today that will help us on our journey to success.
Okay, yeah, you want me to tell you one thing that we're going to learn today?
Yes.
I think, patience, and by the way, I love the name. I think we all could use a little bit more patience in our lives. So that is a unique name. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody named Patience before, but that's amazing. I think, do you have any children?
Not yet.
Okay, when you do, we'll have to find equally interesting names for them. So it can be patience,
Yes.
discipline, and humility. And people will be like, what? You'll be like, oh, well, those are my kids. I'm patience. This is discipline. And the little one over there is humility. And that sounds really great. So I think those are probably going to be the three things that if I were to impart on anyone as far as a success journey, which is what your podcast is called, the success journey that you need is going to be just that: patience, discipline, and humility.
Wow, thank you. I can't wait to hear more about that. But let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So, patience, I started when I was very young, in the early 90s. I left home at a very young age. And by the time I was 15, I found myself with nowhere to live, no money, and just basically going from couch to couch, sleeping in abandoned buildings, whatever, trying to figure out what my next move was. And turns out that I found a mentor, somebody who was very wise, and I learned how to navigate the journey to success. And what happened was that I invented a legal drug, a supplement at the time. It became one of the largest in the world. And by the time I was in my late teens, we had created over $1 billion US dollars in revenue. And I was well on my way to doing a lot more. How about you, Patience? Where are you based out of?
I am in London, but originally I'm from Uganda. Yes.
Ah, okay. So, but you're in London now, but your background is Ugandan.
Yes.
I love that. How many of your listeners do you think are from Africa?
A few, but they are catching on now because a few years ago, 2016, when I went back there, I found that the village I left to, no one had a phone. Now they were on WhatsApp. I'm like, really? You have a network here? So I was surprised and shocked. So yes, they are catching up at the moment.
Yeah, let's get
See,
that whole continent on board. I spoke in Africa, in South Africa, just the year before COVID, and we spoke on stage. It was myself and a bunch of success authors, coaches, and we talked to an audience of about 10,000 people. And I have to tell you, the African people that I met there that came from all over Africa. We had Ugandans, we had Nigerians, we had South Africans, we had people from all over Africa. They were some of the kindest, some of the most humble, some of the most enthusiastic and ready to learn people I have ever met in my life. And the one thing that I saw in their eyes is opportunity. And I think that the entire continent of Africa now is poised to really hit this next level of success. And I think just with the sheer level of energy that's there with this next generation of young people who have access to mobile phones, who have access to the internet, and they're willing to work hard to get to their goals, while a lot of other countries, people are just comfortable and sleeping, I think we're going to see some amazing things coming out of Africa. What do you think?
I can't wait. Wow. What a background, Shaahin. Wow. What do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do?
Yes.
Yeah, so look, that's a good question, right? I've created a lot of wealth in my time. I've created a lot of millionaires in my time. And I've had all the things. I have, a very comfortable lifestyle, right? I have, the cars, the houses. I've got a beautiful family, which is more important than all of that. And, in the past, my lifestyle was a lot more extravagant, right? I had, traveling on the private jets and the yachts and hanging out with celebrities. And, I've done all of that. But I'm at a stage in my life right now where the single most important thing to me is making an impact. And in the past, I made that impact through the products that I created, the companies that I built, and the people that I inspired from within. At this stage in my life, it's my goal to inspire others to reach their best level of success. And the reason why I say that and not my level of success is because you can't compare yourself with other people. You can compare yourself with yourself. It's like that scene in the film Rocky. I think it was maybe in one of the later ones where he's looking and he's asking his coach. He's like, "Hey, coach, you think I'm ready?" He's like, "Ready for what?" He's like, "Ready to beat the opponent." And he points to the mirror, and I'm probably butchering how this went down, but this is my recollection of that movie, or maybe it was a different movie. And he looks at the mirror and he goes, "That's the opponent you need to beat." And he goes, "What?" And it's in the mirror, and it's himself. So for all of us, it's really yourself, that man or woman in the mirror that you look at, that's the only person you should ever compare yourself with. And being 1% better than you were yesterday, than you were last year, last month, last week, whatever, is the goal that you should aspire to. Because looking to other people and comparing yourself with them is a fool's game. There will always be somebody more wealthy than you. I remember in the days of my company, I created this drug called herbal ecstasy, and it was huge. And I spent so much time, Patience, doing TV interviews and radio interviews, and I was everywhere and on yachts. And I thought, I had this mansion in Malibu that I bought from one of the actors in Beverly Hills Cop. And it was a beautiful mansion. I mean, Italian marble and sandstone, and he had filled it with antiquities from actual Rome. This guy had frickin' gone to Rome and bought the columns and had them shipped to Malibu, to the beach house. I mean, the house was gorgeous. We had a little mini museum in the house with a little domed roof. And, I would push a button and the ceiling would open up and we could see the sky while we're soaking in this bathtub looking at the Pacific Ocean. And I thought I was at the top of my game. I looked in my garage. I had a Ferrari. I had a Porsche. My bank account was full of money. There was bags of money laying everywhere. I mean, I thought I had done, been there, done that, like at the top of the game. And then I get invited to a investment banker's house. And I go to this guy's house, and Patience, I'm not kidding you. From the time we get to the gate to the time we get to his Bel Air mansion, it took 15 minutes. You have to go to the gate. The security meets you at the gate. Then they drive you around in these little golf carts to the front house. Then you have to walk all the way over to the other part of the house where everybody's at. And I'm looking around, and Patience, I was feeling small. I was going, oh my God, I have this tiny little house. And the guy says, "Come on, let me show you my garage." And I'm thinking, okay, he's got a garage like me. He's got 4 or 5 fancy cars in there, right? So, we're good. Nope, wrong. I walk in there, and this guy has the largest collection of Ferraris in Northern America at the time. And it was, I'm talking dozens of cars worth millions of dollars, now maybe worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He had the Lamborghini Countach. He had a Ferrari F40. I mean, he had these ultra supercars. And he was like, hey, should we take one out? You guys want to take one out? And my jaw dropped. I was thinking, these cars should not be driven. They're worth millions of dollars. He didn't care, right? And he's like, oh, sorry, we can't, we've got to get on the jet later tonight and then get on the yacht. Now I'm feeling small. I had created $1 billion in revenue pre-internet. And I'm at this guy's house comparing myself with him, old money. So you can't compare yourself with other people. No matter how well you do, there is always somebody that's at a higher level than you. And in fact, that guy I can aspire to be a better version of myself, but aspiring to be better than him is a fool's game. Then you get into the game of ego, right? And I know, especially coming from a place like Uganda, African culture, very similar to Eastern culture, there is a great value put on our elders. There's a great value put on humility, right? Western cultures don't have that. If you were down here in LA, or I'm sure London, the British do have a little bit more humility, I think, than most Americans. But if you were here in LA or New York or Miami, we would go out, we would go to, dinner, and we could sit around dinner with, Silicon Valley people, entrepreneurs, and they just talk about themselves the whole night and how great they are. And we'd watch their Instagrams. It's like, look at my Lamborghini and look at my Ferrari and look at my amazing lifestyle, right? But they're lacking humility. Would you agree? Is it the same? Is it the same in Africa? Like, if you're all show when you're there, people have a different respect for you than if you come with respect and humility.
Yes, it's true. I'm glad they really took time to notice that. Yes. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I come from the third world too, right? We came here from Iran as refugees in the 1970s. We had nothing. My dad worked at a pizza shop for God knows how long. And then he started a dry cleaners, and he worked at a dry cleaners for 30 plus years, earning what he thought was money, but turns out was lower than minimum wage. I came from that. But I think this is what I'm telling you I feel about Africa, and I'm saying this genuinely, not just because, I know you're Ugandan, is that when you have that grit, when everything isn't handed to you on a platter, when you see people's struggle, when you experience some level of struggle, some level of discomfort on a regular daily basis, you have a hidden advantage.
Okay. Hello?
I am here.
Okay. I was looking that in. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Let's put man aside, as you mentioned. How did you know you were successful?
Money in the bank. Success leaves clues.
Aside.
Yeah, success leaves clues. Look, I came up in the pre-internet era of the 1990s. The internet was just starting to happen. People didn't buy things on the internet. So when I walked into my house and I tripped and hit my head on the wall because my foot hit a bag of cash, I knew I was successful. When I looked in my garage and I had a Ferrari sitting there, I knew I was successful. When I owned a mansion on the beach, I knew I was successful. There was no flexing on Instagram. There was no TikTok. We didn't have any of that stuff. I actually went out there, and every day when I looked at my bank account and I had to walk over to the bank, wait in line, deposit the money in the bank, and then wait a few days to see the money in my account, because that's how it worked in the old days, that's how I knew I was successful. It's very measurable, right? So if in life, the universe is not rewarding you with money, green cash, or whatever color it is in whatever country you're in, you are not successful. You might be a successful human being. You might be a great mother, father, doctor, whatever it is. But unless you are getting monetary recognition, you are not financially successful. Money 10 years from now is not the same as money in your bank account now. And that's how I've always measured it, right? I think, it's interesting, Patience, right? Every successful person I know, and I know a lot of them, I know millionaires, I know billionaires, I know all kinds of people. I know crypto billionaires, I know all kinds of people that are wealthy and successful. And, the fact is that every single one of these people I know has something in common. Do you know what that is?
We are dying to know.
What do you think? Take a guess.
No, you tell us. I might guess it wrong.
That's okay. It's okay if you guess it wrong. What do you think all these people have in common?
Vision.
Close. That's a good guess. They are highly competitive. They're competitive with everybody around them, right? So now you're thinking, wow, well, maybe this goes against what you were just telling us. Maybe what you were telling us is, don't measure yourself against other people. And it is true. You should not measure yourself against other people, but you should aspire to be better. So the first thing is these people compete with themselves more than anybody else. If today they do 10 pull-ups, tomorrow they want to do 15 and 30 the next day. At the same time, they're ultra competitive with other people that they meet. Now, the competition isn't a matter of them thinking, hey, I'm going to, beat this guy out because I'm better. But it's a factor of something internal that leads them to always want to be better and always dominate everything that they do. If you look, there's a fantastic documentary series now out about Michael Jordan and the Bulls, arguably one of the greatest basketball players to ever live. And one of the things that you notice about him, and it's funny because they made fun of it on Saturday Night Live, they did a skit about this, is that he is fiercely competitive. So you think Michael Jordan is competitive on the basketball field? Okay. When he got into investing, fiercely competitive. He got into golf, unbelievably so. Even during the breaks or after the game, he was competing with the security guards playing, coin games or dice or whatever it was in the locker rooms. He never stopped because it's what he's made of. It's this yearning, this eagerness to always be 1% better, which drives them.
Wow. Hey. Okay. What have you learned from business as a whole?
What have I learned from business as a whole? I think, life is business. Right? You have the business of making money, you have the business of life. And life for me is really, exactly that. Business is the mechanism that helps you function in life. So I coach a lot of people. Now I'm on the Amazon platform and I teach people how to create predictable recurring revenue by starting Amazon accounts and selling product on the Amazon platform. And one of the things that I've learned is that a lot of people, especially people that are creatives or professionals or academics, don't understand business. And in addition to that, when they look at people who are successful, when they look at even I've got lots of friends that are famous actors. I've got friends that have won Academy Awards, right? And when people look at them, they go, hey, look at her. She, she's such a good actress, which is why she won the Academy Award and she makes however many millions of dollars a year she makes. But is she really? I mean, there's a lot of females that are more attractive than her. There's a lot of females that are better actors than her. There are a lot of females that are, all those things. Why is she doing so well? Well, one of the reasons is there's a few, but one of the reasons is that she's also really good at business. She understands how to hustle. You look at any of these big actresses or actors out there. I'm using actress as an example because you are a female. But if you look at any of them, you will know that there is a business that goes around them. Any of my friends that are actors, successful actors, They have a whole machine that is behind them that manages their business, and they have to manage that machine. So when you see hey, they're a good actor, maybe they're a good actor and they have that skill set, but a lot of people have that skill set. It's their ability to conduct a business that enables them and empowers them to be ahead of everybody else and to be in that 1%. Now, in addition to that, there is a formula for success. If you want me to share it with you.
Yes, we are waiting.
Yeah. So there's a book that's actually called The Formula, and it's by a professor. I always butcher his name, but it's Barabasi, and it's called The Formula or The Success Formula. You'll find it online, or I'm sure we can share it with our guests in the show notes. And he talks about success this is a guy who studied successful people and dissected what it is that makes them successful. And he came down to 2 principles. Principle number 1 is performance, right? You do have to be a good actor. You do have to know how to read lines. You do have to look good if you're in the business of selling your presence. But in lieu of that, in lieu of performance, the thing that's even more important is network. Right, Patience? So if it was just me and you, and, we decided, hey, we're going to launch a cryptocurrency, right? Maybe we would do okay, right? Maybe it would be all right, right? I know a few people. I know you know a few people. We could try to launch a type of cryptocurrency and see how we do, right? Okay, fair enough. Now, if Elon Musk decided to launch a cryptocurrency, which one do you think would do better, ours or Elon's?
Of course, Elon's.
Of course, Elon's, right? And it wouldn't matter if ours was a better cryptocurrency, would it? It wouldn't matter if ours had better white papers and, it was backed by this and that and the other and blessed by the Dalai Lama and ours was like the greatest Bitcoin. It wouldn't. People would buy Elon Musk's cryptocurrency by orders of magnitude more, right? One of the reasons is, yes, he's famous, but 2 is that he has an insane network. He has a massive network. So he would make some phone calls and he would get Warren Buffett and he'd get Tony Robbins and he'd get all these people within his network to promote it. So the bigger your network, right? If you're Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, right, you do have access to a lot of funds, but you also, what's more important is you have access to network. So what young entrepreneurs can start to do now is to start building their network. And you build your network by bringing value, by not always asking, hey man, what can you do for me? Right? It's such a weird thing. What can you do for me? Right? Instead, go out there and be an authentic, real person that cares about other people and see what you can do to help them without asking for anything in return. It's such a rare thing when people recognize that. And we have Professor Cialdini, Robert Cialdini, who wrote the book Influence, his principle of influence, reciprocity, one of the most powerful ones, right? It will come back to you if you have no expectations. People, as humans, we are hardwired to want to give back to people who have given to us.
Yes. Wow. Thank you. Okay. If you could rerun the first year of your business, what would you definitely know to do?
Okay. So if I could rerun the first year of my business, I think what I would do, I guess I think what you're asking me is really, what I would do differently. And I think if I had a choice of what to do differently, is that I would bring on experienced mentors to help me make sure that I wasn't taken advantage of at a very young age, which, back then I was making so much money and I was so young that, that tended to happen.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
What's one thing that has utility of
contributed to
oh,
your success?
What's one thing that's contributed to my success? God, I think, there's so much stuff, but I think, one of the things is what we already talked about, grit, being from the third world, starting from less than zero, having nothing. Because when you have nothing, you know that it can't get any worse than that. So, and you don't want to get back to that. So anything is a step up. When you can act like you have nothing to lose, you're at a great advantage. I watch and follow a lot of UFC fighting, Ultimate Fighting Championship and jiu-jitsu and all this type of stuff. And I think, for those guys, the guys in the UFC ring, what I notice is that when a guy comes in and, he's had years and years behind him and he's got the mansions and the planes and all the money and he's gotten comfortable and a little fat, he's not going to be the most fierce opponent, right? Because he's got a lot to lose. He doesn't want to get injured. He doesn't want to, lose the mansion. He doesn't want to lose his the credibility that he has. So those guys can just, retire, right? Those aren't the guys you worry about, even though they have the most experience. The guys you worry about is a young guy who's in the shape of his life, but he started from nothing and he has nothing. And this is his opportunity and he is hungry. And so the fact that he's burned his ships, so to speak, and he's got nothing to swim back to, that is the most critical thing for being a opponent that wins and dominates. Because when you look in the eyes of a guy that's got nothing to lose, that's what brings fear into any competitor.
Wow. What grounds you?
My family.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
One thing that nobody knows about me,
Apart from your family.
apart from my family, wow, is that I'm a huge fan of prank calls. And on occasion, it may be known that I make prank calls in several different character voices.
Wow. What is the most important question to ask someone who has bought from you?
Who's bought from me?
Yes.
Well, I think I would ask when the time is to ask them that question, right? Are you asking them before, during, or after the experience?
After the experience.
When are you ready for your next order?
Okay. Okay, let's talk about your business. Tell us more about it and who can join.
Yeah, so, I've got a number of businesses. I spend most of my time on the Amazon platform these days teaching people how to create predictable, recurring revenue streams on the Amazon platform. So what's that mean? That means that while you're listening to this podcast, while you are on vacation, while you are sleeping, you should be earning money. You should make your money work for you and stop selling your hours. The number one mistake that young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs starting out in any kind of business make is that they sell their hours. Why is that a mistake? It's a mistake because we all have the same number of hours, only 24 per day, last time I checked. So if you are selling your hours, there is a ceiling on how much money you can make, as opposed to creating a product, branding a product, and selling it on the Amazon platform, the world's largest platform for selling. And what most people don't know is, regardless of where in the world you are, regardless of your economic situation, it doesn't cost much to do it. You can sell and create a business that produces 10, 20, 30, 50, 100,000. Even I know people that are doing over $1 million a month selling on the Amazon platform. And, I do it every single day. So most of my revenue personally now comes from selling on the Amazon platform. And so our business is that we coach people and we teach people how to do that. For your listeners, Patience, I have a free 1-hour crash course. It's normally $200, but if they mention Patience, we'll use the code Patience. And they just mentioned that they heard us on Online Success Journey. or heard us through you, we will offer them the course for free. So it costs zero, and you can learn everything from A to Z about how to launch an Amazon business and sell on Amazon and create those predictable revenue streams so that you have foundational thinking.
Wow, thank you so much. And how can we connect with you?
Sure. You can email me. You can go to ShaahinCheyene.com. I'm sure you can put the information on the show notes. Make sure to listen to our podcast as well. We have a podcast called Hack and Grow Rich, which I'll share the link with you as well. I have a podcast about my story and how I got to $1 billion as a teenager. That is called Billion, How I Became King of the Thrill Pill Cult. That book will be out sometime in August. I'm working on recording the audio version of that now, but if anybody's interested and they need some help or want to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to talk to people. I answer every single email directly. We get a lot of calls, so sometimes it takes a minute for me to get back to you, but I do return everybody's email directly. So just get me through ShaahinCheyene.com, and I'm delighted to be of service if I can.
Wow, thank you. There will be more from Shaahin in a moment. If you are listening to this on a podcasting platform and you are encouraged by Shaahin's journey, please go to our website at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Now, Shaahin, I would love for you to share more with my audience if you are up for it.
Yeah, sure. What would you like to know?
Thank you. Okay. Do you like books? Do you like movies?
Yeah.
Books, movies.
Oh, are you giving me a choice between books and movies? Why? God, I think it all depends, right? There's a time for each, right? Do you like your left eye or your right eye?
Both.
There you go.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with movies because you're a filmmaker. Okay. Tell us, what is your favorite movie that has some relevance to being an entrepreneur?
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I'll recommend something current that's actually like a TV show. The TV show Billions with Daniel Lewis and that whole cast is absolutely, I think, one of the best of all time. Billions is a show about a hedge fund manager and his crew of outcasts. And it's really, an exceptionally made, I think, series. So, but films aren't that good anymore. That's the problem because TV is so good. The movies you can watch on, HBO and Netflix and Amazon have gotten so good that I don't really know anybody who goes to movies anymore. I think it was fun a while ago, but I don't think now it's a thing as much, at least.
Okay. If your business was down to its last $100, how would you invest it?
To its last $100?
Yes.
How would I invest it?
You're millionaire, but you had only $100.
If I had only $100, I don't know. Maybe I'd go buy some sushi and figure out what my next plan was. I think that's what I would do. I'd go buy some sushi.
If you're going to keep a note to yourself in your pocket every day, what would be written on it?
A note in my pocket every day. I think it would just say, remember who you are. I think that's important. And I think I think that's what I would say. Remember who you are.
Good. Wow. Do you feel like you succeeded or like you're only on the way?
Like in general in life, do I feel like I succeeded?
Yes.
Look, like everybody else, there's days where I feel like I've succeeded and there's days where I feel I failed. It's not really about that. It's not really about a single event that creates a success in your life. It's about creating lots of little successes, lots of moments where you can start to understand who you are. That's really what it's about.
Will you ever stop?
I'm sure we all end up below ground, so.
No, before below ground.
Oh, before that.
You're still above the ground.
when I'm still above the ground. I mean, it just depends what you mean by stop. I stop every day, right? The world, goes around and around. It doesn't revolve around me. The world continues. And as far as I'm concerned, I take little breaks every day. I don't work because I love what I do. Every single day, I fill my day with joy. And whenever I want to, being a seller on Amazon allows me to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, which is the ultimate freedom. If I want to take off today and go hang out with my 7-year-old, I can do that. Right? I can take him to the beach. I can take him paddleboarding. We can go riding bikes. If I want to, get in a board meeting, I can do that. I have staff who can take those board meetings. So my life is really at my own direction.
Okay. Remind us how we can connect with you.
Yeah, so let's share it in the show notes, and I will email it to you as well, Patience. And you can get me through the Hack and Grow Rich podcast. And just go to ShaahinCheyene.com, and all of my information will be on there. That's ShaahinCheyene.com. If you're interested in the course, it's going to be FBAsellercourse.com. Just go ahead and fill out the form, and we'll have a call with you. And regardless, we're happy for absolutely free if you just mention Patience.
Thank you. Wow, Shaahin, it's been great to have you here to share your online success journey with us.
Super fun. Thank you so much, Patience.